So we go again. Welcome back if you're joining me again. This is Jim McFadyen here from the Vortex, in the Vortex Centre for Wellbeing, from the Vortex Centre for Wellbeing, and the Godcast Darkness to Light, number 68, and this one is going to be called Half God. So welcome back if you're joining me, and it's a wee bit kind of all over the place now. That will be revealed over the weekend. This is what we're on now. We're in the last couple of days of, this is the last day of October 2025, so we're definitely moving into winter now. You can see the winter gear on. I was away in the TP last weekend, so all my winter stuff, all my kind of camping stuff, and survival kit came out, all the kind of leggings and hoodies, and just absolutely magical. I'll speak about that in a wee second. The significance of what I got from, in fact, everything I'm going to talk about came on the back of just before that trip, and then been away for a couple of days. So 6 to 8, Half God, and this is not going to be going out on the Friday. This is actually getting recorded on the Friday, and the idea is I've been doing the catch-up series. So the first 3 have been recorded, and the plan is to release them over the weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So they'll be going out by the time this one goes out, probably next week, which will be the first week in November 2025. And the intention with it and how it's came about came off the back of the work that I've been doing recently on myself. I've kind of been a wee bit. I've been doing it in a different way. I've been very much doing it on my own. In terms of the spiritual work and really just getting on the programme, I suppose. I've been really needing, what do I need, what's required here, what do I need to kind of increase and get better and get back to the place I would like to be, which I haven't really been for the last wee bit. It's been very stagnant, the last period. It's been a fantastic year. It's been a great year, massive expansion this year on the spiritual side of things. For the first 7 or 8 months it was full God, and this is where Half God is going to come in, the name of this one, because full God, every single time that I do it, I've done it in the past and I had extended periods of time, around about that time, 6, 8, 9 months, not as much as a year at a time, but the stuff that comes through, the expansion that comes through, the quantum shifts and awareness and all the stuff that's came through this year, especially with the spiritual stuff, has been incredible. It's been an amazing year. It's been a great year. Huge, loads of kind of upwards kind of like upwards trajectory in terms of you feel as if you're making progress and you're getting to where you would like to be and all that kind of good stuff. And then riding the kind of wave itself. It's almost like the wave comes and you catch it if you're surfing. Not that I surf, but I may have done in a previous life. It's always felt like, and I use that kind of surf analogy a lot, especially since my son's been getting into the surfing recently. I've been up there fairly regular with him, and I've always spoke about catching the waves, and and it feels like this year has been like surfing all year. Catching wave after wave after wave. Big ones, wee ones, never really kind of riding the waves, no crashing and burning and falling off the wave. It's been a continuous year of momentum, not just for me, but for many people within the programme. A lot of the inner circle, the ones that are run about this work in the community, have been going through the exact same thing for probably the first part of the year. It was very much like that. And driven by me, being on it, full on it every day. The meditations were for many kind of periods of this year, twice a day. Doing the lives, the sacred space, all that kind of stuff. So again, huge benefits that have been made with that part of the journey. But eventually, as with everything, then you do come off it. You need to come off it. The wave does crash and it runs out, and the energy behind that, whatever you've been doing for that period of time, it stops. And it stopped for me really strangely, and I don't know if irony is the right way to describe it, but I went from possibly as good as it's been for a long time in terms of a couple of meditations that I got, and then I crashed and burned, and really the other side of it was like really, really down, really low, a massive drop, and a lot of that is to do with different parts of the spiritual work I've been doing this year, a lot of kind of cleaning going on from the Saj Marg system. The relationship with Babaji and the realisation of that relationship and how incredible that's been all year. There's been massive expansion from me spiritually in terms of the way that it's coming through and different options now, as opposed to the way I've always done it, which is just go straight to the divine and see what happens. Now there's assistance and there's guidance because of that system. Babaji, who that's him there if anybody who's interested. This book, My Master, I just found an incredible book today, which is 2002 it dates back to. It's a handbook and there's a kind of diary that goes with it. I planked it somewhere and I just found it, which goes with this system. So that whole, even though it's been since then, 2001 probably it started, which is the reason I believe I'm still doing this type of work, the spirituality stuff, and the reason that I'm talking about God and all that kind of good stuff is because of, I believe, what happened during that period where I get run about this system called Sajmarg, the natural path, and was exposed through transmission, from the Divine Master that's in particular Babaji would be the name. That's the second master of the system. He's the man that for whatever reason came into my life and guided me, and I believe he's still guiding me, and now is working through not just me but many people within the Vortex. That's kind of what it feels like. It's been a massive shift over the last couple of years, but particularly this year there. And going full God was fantastic. It was great, and full God to me is like everything's for the divine. Every single waking thought and sleeping thought a lot of the time was purely like working for God, working for the light, working for the solutions and the way, and expressing that through the Vortex and the work that I'm doing and the posts that I'm doing and all the stuff that I'm putting out. That's really when I get to a point where I don't do anything else. My diet's impeccable. There's no caffeine. You're just on the straight and narrow as a path. You're on the path, and it's a great place to be when you get onto it, and you get up. Anything that's not in alignment with that, in terms of anything that's holding you back, anything that's tripping you up, anything that's causing resistance. Diet's a huge part of it. Sleep's another significant part of it. What you're watching, what who you're spending time with, what's going in, and so many lessons and so much can be learned during that period. And it's been like that all year. So when I came off it, it was time to get off it. It was time I'd kind of done my bit and I'd had enough, and kind of unintentionally stepped away from it, which is interesting. When it's so good and you get to that place where you've been not trying to get there, but it's available, and then it unfolds within twice inside 24 hours. And then you get to a place where you're within a really short period of time, the world caved in, and it was like, oh no, this is really rubbish. I don't like this. Like you want to make that better. You want to get out of that bit as quick as possible, and then just riding that for a period of time, for weeks and weeks and weeks, just being in it and being stuck in it, and like not really having any drive or forward momentum or inspiration when it's been so like. It was really so focused and intentional at certain parts of the year. It's like living any other way just must be madness. Then you get to experience the other way of living. It's not a lot of fun, and it wasn't a lot of fun, and it's been, it's much better now. But for that period of time, those that have been watching will know what I'm talking about. But that period, I wasn't clever. And as always, I'm still reporting and still doing what I'm doing and documenting, so that people can, all right, okay, so it's like, how do you make your way through this when it's not going the way you'd like it to be, or and that's really, what this is about now, this bit that I'm at with half God, and, coming off the back of being a wee bit kind of separated, not lost, but just kind of stagnant and stopped and, enjoyed, and now looking back on the year we've had, and just fantastic, and then the dip, and then now standing here and going, right, okay, so how do I make it better? How do I get back to the place that I would like to be? And really interestingly, which happens a lot, maybe it's the whole coherence thing with the people that I'm spending time with within the programme. It's certainly within a circle, the ones that I'm seeing regular and speaking to regular. And myself and John Maguire, for instance, are the synchronicities in terms of where we are at this year, where we've been and certain things that are coming through and expansions that are coming through, and sometimes the similar experiences. And there's a load of people within the community, within the programme, that it kind of feels like that just now. They're kind of a wee bit stagnant, they're a wee bit stuck. Many are facing challenges on different fronts and different levels. I think we all are facing challenges to some degree, but because I know, obviously intimately, you feel where people are at, and when you've experienced them being absolutely like flying, like in those high vibrations where everything's just, it can't get any better, and that they're just battering through life and just having the time of their life, then a lot of people this year, for whatever reason, it's a difficult time, and the world's the way that it is, and the uncertainty and the fear and everything that we're dealing with just now, then no mistake that a lot of people are, especially with this work, when you become acutely aware of things like even the consciousness of the world. I'm going into Glasgow this afternoon, and it's the feeling that you get when you drive in and you're on the motorway, and you can just feel where people are at and where environments or situations you can kind of tell what's going on. So it's a really unusual time we're in. It's a difficult time that we're in, and the feeling I've got with many people around about me just now in terms of within the community is that it's almost like the snake shedding their skin. I feel like that just now as well. It's almost like I'm ready for like what's next. I've done this over the last couple of years with the programme and all the stuff that I've been doing, and now I'm ready to expand upon that, and I don't know what that is. I know I've spoke about the videos, and in the programme series when it comes out I'm going to be doing a lot more videos. That's my plan for now. We'll see how that goes, but you know, the expansion that I'm seeking and the excitement that I'm seeking, and you know, being more creative, because the posts have dried up, I'll be honest. You know, the desire to do the posts, there's probably 4,500 to 5,000 poems online. I've got them all. I've downloaded them all. I've got them in a document, and I can access them. And some of them are incredible. Some of them are really, really good. Some of them are terrible. You know, some of them are like, fucking, who wrote that? But you know, so I've done that not to death, and I enjoy still doing them as a way of expressing. But it kind of feels like it's moved on a wee bit. And they'll always be there. They're as long as the internet's up and all that kind of stuff, they will be there. But this new phase, again, for me to get a wee bit more excited and start to, you know, what am I going to do to get back to where I would like to be? And even at this last wee bit, I've not even felt that, if I'm honest with you. I've not really felt that it's been okay being off it, and it's been okay being away from it. Because, you know, for this part, it's been very much from being full God to being back to being a human being. You know, so the coffees have crept in again, and I take half a shot, and I have a really small, like almost like a half cup size, and it's like between a quarter and half a shot of caffeine, and a wee bit of kind of oat milk is the way that I'll have it. And I don't feel the buzz, but I like it, I enjoy it. And I had Italian friends growing up. I had coffee machines before Costa was even a thought, whoever came up with that, certainly in this country, you know. So I've always made coffee and bought, you know, my own beans and ground beans, and so that's a process that I really enjoy. Again, probably some of my addictions. It's definitely, caffeine has been an addiction to me at certain points in my life. Negative effect probably restricted me, so I'd only ever have maybe one, sometimes two a day, depending on how hard I was working on the building sites. So you're getting back to, you know, 30 years. 30 plus years when I was like drinking wee coffees. One of my friends had a chip shop in Killoop and got a wee tiny espresso. It was like Goodfellas or, you know, The Sopranos, sitting in his back office, and either on the way to work if he was in early, or on the way back you can get a wee coffee and sit and have a cigarette, and you know, I feel like a man. It was great times, absolutely brilliant. So that's kind of crept in again with intention, and I've got a good relationship with that, where I can have one and not touch it for 3-4 days, not really think about it, or like feel the desire of that I have a dweller addictions, where it's like you're only waking thought. I've never been like that with coffee. I've got a good relationship, a good healthy addiction relation, and I use it when I need it, you know, in terms of it's like a wee treat, you know. But those kind of things creep in, and it's almost like they're like wee mini gifts sometimes, you know, to help you through the day. I mean, especially when you see what's going on in the world, and you see what's happening in the world, then sometimes it's okay, like, to fuck it, I'm going to have a coffee and go for a walk in the trees, and go for a long walk, you know, and do some movement. You know, sometimes you can't be bothered, you're a wee bit tired, or you're stagnant. I've been up during the night, which has been a lot recently, and to go and, you know, do some qigong in the woods with a wee tiny bit of caffeine in you, I've found is okay. It doesn't seem to affect me negatively. It's not affecting my sleep. But at the same time, you know, like going from like completely clean and doing the juices and the cleanses and like really being on it, how much that impacts your vibration, how much that impacts your ability to feel, you know, when you're in the meditations and the stuff that seems to come through. The minute I go off that full God, then the work, it still comes through, but I don't get to experience it in the same way, which is like a trade-off. And for me, I've said it on here, probably, I would imagine, but I've certainly spoke about it. Like for me, when I'm all in and it's full God, you know, the spirit will take you over. And the work that it seems to come through you, and the possibilities, and it's really, really tiring. It takes a lot out of you when you become like so compassionate, and so, you know, the empathy's there, and you seem to attract a lot more people who are wanting to share their story and go through the stuff that they're going through, so you're in it with them. There's a lot more that goes on, and there's only a certain period of time where I can really sustain that, and with my experience over the years, and it seems to get to a point where I'm done with that. And this time around, I've been okay with that. I've kind of got away from it, and it's nice to step off the wave and to just maybe be lying on the surfboard with the sun in your face a wee bit, you know, just relaxing and enjoying the human experience. Has been really quite good. You know, I've enjoyed it. And at the same time, I'm still doing the work. It's not like I'm disappearing, or I'm hitting McDonald's, and I'm still, you know, nothing changes in terms of the diet. That's always the same, you know, in terms of the protocols for breakfast with the lemon water and the celery juice and the heavy metal detox, and the way that I'm feeling myself is really, really pretty good just now. It's no full God, but it's pretty good. And you know, even just the disciplines of doing the lemon water as soon as I wake up, which is probably between 3 and half 3 just now, especially over the last week. And You know, the minute I'm up, then it's a litre of one organic lemon or a lime and squeezed into the kind of filtered water through the Berkey. So you're taking all the fluoride and all the kind of bullshit out of it. And that's how I start every single day before I get into meditation. You know, and especially at that time of night when the liver and the kidneys there's cycles where they cleanse. Then catching it at that time of the night, and I'm feeling a benefit to that. You know, just that simple discipline. You know, so from being stagnant, from being like, I'd like to be somewhere else, and then enjoying the human experience, and then the problem for me is when I'm not getting what I need to be getting from the spiritual journey, then the physical stuff is never enough for me. It's just, I feel unfulfilled. I feel as if I'm not fulfilling my potential, and I feel as if unfulfilled in terms of my relationship, especially since Babaji's come in, especially since that relationship has developed. When I'm not full God, then I feel as if I'm almost kind of, not that I'm wasting my time, but I'm not getting what I should be getting. So probably fulfill my potential in that space is what it feels like the most. And that's quite difficult. You know, there's definitely a wee bit of, there's definite guilt, and there's a wee bit of kind of disappointment in myself, and there's a wee bit of shame, I suppose, because I know what I should be doing. I know that I know the benefits in terms of and what's required in this world. Just know the light that we're bringing in with this work, and I mean, I'm really on it. You know, how much brighter that light shines for me and those that are around about it. You know, when I'm leading it and driving it. But I'm also easing myself in terms of, you know, it's like, right, okay, so I'm a human being, and I've done that loads. I've done my bit, you know, for the cause, and I continue to, and I'll never stop. I'll never retire for this or get away for this. This is my life's work. This is what I'm meant to be doing. But when I'm off it, the way that I've been off it, and then, you know, it's finding the balance, and that's where the kind of whole concept of like half God comes in. So how can you know, what can you do? How can I get back to finding some sort of balance where it's not all in terms of, and I would always get like kind of wee bit, if I wasn't in that place before, I would always be trying to get back to it. You know, many lessons in that as well. When you're off it and you're trying to get back in, it's very difficult to get back on it when you're struggling. And you know, for this time around, the way I'm at just now, it doesn't really feel like that. It feels like I'm kind of okay, like I'm doing all right. This was almost going to be called like doing all right, because I'm not completely on it, but I'm not off it. I'm in this kind of ebbing and flowing state where I'm doing a lot of work, so I've had to look, as always, like, how do you make it better? We need to look at yourself and see what you're doing. So what am I doing? What's the work that I'm doing? What program am I on? And it's easy to teach it, but are you living it yourself? You know, so, and that's, you have a really good look at yourself, and you start to go, right, okay, so I'm not doing that great now, or I'd like to be probably better. To go on like this all the time, that would be unacceptable. I don't want to live like this all the time. I'm enjoying the kind of in that kind of limbo place just now where it's all right. But of course, as I'd like to be back to being flying again, I've had enough of being off it and enough of just being like, feels ordinary. The human experience, you know, when you're tapping in every single day as I was, and the connections that were coming through, and the synchronicities and the healing that was being received by many of us, you know, the upgrades and the shifts in consciousness that many of us were getting. Then of course, I do want to get back to that. I've kind of had enough time where I've been away from it, and I'd like to get back to it. And you know, that's difficult sometimes when you're not feeling 100%, or you're maybe kind of know where you'd like to be, with the momentum of like, being inspired and absolutely, you know, where it seems to kind of, it's almost like self-propelling, you know, it kind of pulls you forward. It's almost like it's dragging you forward. I remember I've got a set of road bike wheels, and carbon wheels, and they're maybe, I think they're 100mm, they're 100mm, the depth of the wheel. And when they came out, it was like a golf ball design on it. When you get to like 23 or 24 mile an hour, then they start to pull you forward. That was part of their marketing, and that's kind of what this is like. You know, when you get up to speedway and you're really in the flow, and when you're in the meditations, you know, just really like middle of the night, couple of hours, 2-3 hours, and you're sitting in groups and you're holding the space within the satsangs, then it definitely it gets a hold of you quite quick, and you get into a literal vortex, and then it just pulls you, you know, and then it's like, it's a wonderful journey, and then it becomes too much every single time, like I can't keep up with it, and then it's like, okay, this time it happened to me where I got off it, but in the past I've intentionally even stepped away from it. I remember talking, you know, I was telling the story about like causing trouble, like to get off it, just take away from it, because it was too good. It's like being in that light all the time and being in those higher states all the time. That's really not what it's meant to be in this human experience, I don't believe. When you die and you go back to spirit, and I think it's the ability to do both, to go between both the worlds, you know, and that's something, the bit that I'm at just now, you know. So there's a lot of good stuff coming through. The people that I'm standing beside within the programme, like, just wonderful. There's so much, I stand beside so many teachers, and there's so many people that are going to be able to help others. And my intention for those who are not in it for themselves, those that are in it for the greatest good, those that want to help and pay it forward. And the best way that it seems to be working, in terms of people going on about the Vortex, it takes a bit of time, so people are coming in and we're getting to know each other and they're getting on the programme, which is great, so we get to see each other, whether it's a boys club or a girls club or the meditations or the satsangs or the retreats or whatever it is we're doing, even online, that presence online, or the meetings, the weekly meetups, which I've been missing the last 2 weeks. I've been away. It was my wife's birthday and then I was away in the TP last week, so we missed the Sunday service, and really feeling what that feels like when you don't tune in, when you're not really when you don't get to see each other and connect in with each other. Blessed on the Friday night before, so last Friday, a week today, we're at the yoga barn in Glasgow, so being in person, like giving each other a hug, because the relationships we've now got, and the way we're going through this life in terms of sharing our life experience and the conversations and everything that comes with all of that, it's great to share it with people, it's great to get through it with people, and that's been an absolute blessing, that whole thing. And the way that people now are, there's many of them that they want to now, okay, so what's next? And for me, I've always known that I'm here. I'm approaching, it's not quite, but we're getting to nearly 30 years. 2026, that'll be that's my 30th year anniversary when this all started for me. So obviously I'm a wee bit further ahead in terms of the work that I've done, and the work that I put in, and the awarenesses that I've got, and the lessons that I've learned, and the teachers I've been blessed with. And for me, I need to pass that on. That's part of this. What this is for me is passing it on, and teaching the teachers. And this is where the ones that are there just now, the benefits that they're going to get, because you can learn the techniques, you can learn the breath work and the science behind it. In fact, with our first class this week, where I was teaching the intentional breath, which is my system, so I can do what I want. So it's based on breathing properly, functional breathing, and then the power of awareness, to see what you need in any situation, and then bringing in that power of intention. And those that know what I'm doing, the intentional breath is all about, with intention, to reconnect back into the heart, back into the soul, to quiet the nervous system, to get back into you, and experience the power of the divinity that's in your heart and soul. The breath is a bridge to that. That's why I'm so passionate about it. So we had that, the first class this week, which was great. The first one was about how do you learn? How did I learn? Because I used to go to school to see my girl. I play football. I never went for an education. So when I first time, really 2016, in terms of the science stuff, when I went and trained with Wim Hof, and for 2 days it was all science, and I'm like, what the fuck is this? How do I learn this? What does he mean when he says sympathetic nervous system? So I had to go away and spend all of that year, 2017, learning, and so basically teaching how I did it. And if I can do it, anybody can do it, and then that feeds into all the other stuff that I've learned along the years, like how you learn and your reasons for learning and how the brain works on that. So it's been great to pass all of that on, as well as the information, and there's so many different levels to that. What's going on within a breathwork class, and what's going on within, when you go to a location, as we were on Friday night at the yoga barn, like holding space and the power of your intention, and how we seem to be getting the same results all the time. There's stuff going on that you're doing. Certainly I'm doing with this work, and it's invisible stuff, and it's the stuff that you don't really find in books, and the stuff that I've worked out a lot on my own, and it's very, very real, and it absolutely works, and people are very aware of it now. In fact, they're asking, like, what is it you're actually doing? What does it mean to hold the space? And even before you get there, like setting your the vibration within the space. There's a lot to it that I've learned a lot from Saj Marg and Babaji very recently. That he used to talk about when he's going to different parts of the country. He would tune in and almost like raise the vibration with his consciousness before he got there. So he was like preparing them for him to be there. Sometimes many years in advance. Really interesting concept, and everything matters. And within the field of, what we're doing and the way we're living, then when you start to experience it and understand it and get the results in terms of what's real for you, the things that you see and the things that you go through and the things that happen, then there's nothing really that weird now that catches me at the point where it's like you can't believe it. So the synchronicities, and yesterday phoned one of the boys within the inner circle, and the amount of times I've heard over the years, it's like when you phone them up and it's like, fucking holy, I've got hairs on my arms, I was just thinking about you. That happens really regular, and that for me is the connection within the field. And maybe he says, I was just thinking about you, I've been going to phone you, they haven't spoken to him for months because of a personal situation, he's been away from it a wee bit, and then just me, after probably haven't spoken to him for 4 or 5 weeks, and then the desire to pick it up, and he's just thinking about me, like just there. That happens all the time, so you get to a point where you expect that kind of stuff, it becomes the norm. And again, me like passing on the bits that I've my expansion, it's exciting for me to be able to teach this, to think that I'm teaching breathwork and the science behind it and how it goes together. That's really exciting, that's and how we can make it so easy that anybody can understand it. If I can get it, anybody can get it, and it's especially that information. That's something everybody needs, children, primary 1, primary 2, whatever it is, like this is why you need to breathe properly. This is how significant this is, and then explain them what stress is and what sickness and disease is, and then giving them a gift at that age where anxiety, becomes a choice, where overwhelming and, things like the importance of nasal breathing, you're like passing all that on, and then feeling them coming in, those I'll be able to stand beside, those that have came through this, and I want to be beside them. The amount of people that have came in the past and came for 1 or 2 sessions, or came for 6 months and basically like fucking stole everything, and then they disappear and they become the man themselves, and they're doing their own groups, and I'm like, you've not been doing it long enough. You don't know what you're doing. You don't know what, because when the stuff comes up, you better be ready. That's the bit I always say. It's like, it's easy to take somebody through breathing, but when the trauma, when they break in half and their heart rips open, and like, so how do you get them out the other side? What's the next bit of that? You can't just take them through breathing, Wim Hof method, and blow their brains out and say, right, okay, good luck with that childhood trauma, and send them on their way, when it comes up for the first time ever, maybe, which I've seen many times, so there's a huge responsibility comes with all of that. And, the people that I'm sharing and teaching and that are learning, these teachers that are standing beside me and coming through the Vortex, they'll have it all, by the time they're ready to do that, it's because it's dead simple. It's everything leads towards the spirituality and the divine, and all glory to God. You can't take the credit yourself. It's no you. So we've got a really simple system that helps so many different people, and really excited to be, sharing that and paying it forward and passing it on. And that's one of the things that I'm doing. So doing stuff, part of my program, and doing stuff and helping other people and getting this information. It's a different bit that I'm in now. Like I've stepped away from the group a wee bit, the last wee bit, because of my personal situation. I've been like going deep inside myself and looking really for which way forward next for me. What's the next bit for me? What's the next bit? What's my program? How am I doing? The program has been created. All the digital stuff and the information and the recordings are there. So I've done that the last couple of years. We have done that. The team, myself, have done it. And it's been great, but it's right, so that can't just be it. It's what's next, what's the next bit for me, so that's definitely part of it, paying it forward and passing it on to the teachers, and even just doing that, because when you start to get around about people and we're all at the same place, we're all looking to make progress, we know that there's something else that's coming, we know that there's more than this, and we've all experienced more than this in the past. When everybody's like, kind of feels like just now for us anyway, we're all going towards this same like direction, and this feeling that there's something like really significant coming, there's something really great coming, there's something big coming, that all of this training for all of us, the spiritual work and the work we've been doing, particularly the last couple of years, I've always felt like it's for a reason. It's to help humanity and to help this world, and bring a different way of living and being, the way of living and being back into the world. That's all we're trying to do. That's all I'm trying to do. So when there's more people heading towards that, and then the excitement starts to creep, because when you're trying to do it yourself, really, this is fucking so lonely. For people that are going through a spiritual awakening on their own, it's a lonely road. I was blessed by the teachers that I had, the books and the recordings, people like Wayne Dyer, it was just thousands of hours on repeat, listening all the time to different stages, different information and inspiration I was taking in, and that was fine for me. But a lot of people, when they come in and they become awake and aware, and and then they get back into their environment, it's really difficult. It can be really challenging. So having the community, having people that are around about that, and then feeling the intentional expansion, which is what it's all about, like the art of intentional expansion and intentional living to make it better for yourself. The fact that there's so many of us like heading in this direction, and we feel as if we're already, it's like we can all almost like see the ripples and see the swell, and then start to see the wave coming, and we're all sitting kind of lined up on our surfboards. That's exactly what it feels like. We're all just kind of lined up waiting for the next wave to come, and it feels like there's many of us going to be catching this wave at the same time, and surfing together and enjoying that upwards kind of swing again, and that's happened by design. That bounce and making that bounce happen, it doesn't. You can hang about and wait for it, but that can take forever, and it might never happen. So like, how do you make that happen? How do you, when you're half God, as I have been, and I'm in the human experience, and I'm doing the stuff that I'm doing, and I've got one eye on the Vortex, and I'm maintaining a different balance now, And, you know, again, it's all about intention. What's your intentions? And for me, really, a couple of weeks ago, I really started to ramp it up. I started to do it in a different way. I started to, and this is just the spiritual stuff, you know, so not being hard on myself and not being, having to bring in the disciplines and want to do cleanses, none of that kind of stuff. It's too difficult when you're not really feeling it anyway. So, you know, half God, like 1 foot in, 1 foot out, like how do you do it? How do you get back to that place? And intention, you know, so for me, sitting during the night and just bringing a different awareness to it and different going, right, okay, so I'm now going to start to crank it up again. I'm now going to start to bring in a different level of intention to my work in terms of the foods that I'm eating. So a couple of weeks ago, bread had crept back in. I love bread, like certain types of bread. I'm not talking about white sliced, fucking battered with butter, no, but certain types of sourdough, my stomach can handle that and I'm okay with that. And I really enjoy it. There's such a nourishing and kind of like comforting food, especially in Scotland at this time of year. If you look out the window, it's just pure grey and raining and sideways. So the homemade soups and all that kind of stuff. Bread's a part of that, you know. But it crept back in, and it became like every day I would have a couple of slices, and I'm like feeling sluggish. My bowels are slowing down, and it's like, so that's not where I'd like to be. I don't want to feel like that. I want to be the vitality that comes from inside with your internal organs, and even your bowels being slow when you start to put the heavier, like processed breads in. Even though it's the best of bread, even though it's really good stuff, but at the same time it just slows my system down. It's different. So taking that away changed everything, you know, just like being a bit more okay. So you do that, and then before you know it, you're then doing that. Because on occasion, my mum and dad's, I walk in mum and dad's, and there's a biscuit jar. And talk about being programmed. The minute you go in, it's like you turn into a 7-year-old, and there's all these biscuits. We don't buy biscuits, so there's all these like just wonderful treats of just sugary awesomeness. And they're always there, and it's like just something about being in my mum's. But again, then you take that away, and it's like, right, okay, so I've not got dates on me all the time again, which are always there. But it's saying I just eat dates. I don't eat sweets, and I don't eat shite. I want to get back to the light. So then that changes, and before you know it, you're then awareness in terms of the meditation is getting better, and then you've done away with the bread, and then you've done it just because you're starting to feel better and the benefits of it. Again, it becomes almost like self-propelling. It becomes easy as well. And at that point, you know, you then start to get okay. You start to get a wee bit excited. Right, what else can we do? And half God, you know, what else can we do? Like being in the program for me is everything. That's my life works best when I'm on, like, fully on the program. And depending on how much I need and where I'm trying to get to. But being in my program, tending to myself, looking after myself, doing the work that's required, whatever that is, you know, between all the different disciplines and protocols and tools and techniques. And for now, you know, the desire to, it's the spiritual stuff again, it's the spiritual stuff that's been missing, it's the spiritual bit that's been calling. And so for this month, and this came through last week, the idea of going like full God again, like going, like getting right into it, like just jumping in, and it felt like too much. I'll be honest, it felt like a wee bit, I'm not quite there with it. I don't really feel like, it's too big a jump for me. I'm too far away for that to commit to that. And when you feel like that, it never works. You know, it should pull you towards it, and it should always feel good with this work. Inspiration over motivation, like being called, like being driven, as if it's pulling you, is the only way that it works for me at this stage. You know, so then some sort of kind of halfway house of can I do both? That's what came through. And then last weekend, I went in the teepee with John Maguire, just the two of us in a dug. And with 2 days down at the reservoir, down in the borders, on our own. You know, there was the first night, it was a couple of camper vans running about us, but then with the place to ourselves, I think because of the weather, it was brutal. It was really cold, and it was brutal. And with the fire going in the teepee, and with just space, you know, just and great being in the company of John, and you know, the energy that he carries, and even just how quiet he is. You know, the chi is very balanced, and there's no drama, you know. We know each other so well now. You know, the plan is to go away and spend a couple of days talking about all the stuff that I've spoke about on the catch-ups, you know. So more squad casts, getting more people involved. What else can we do? Because he's really feeling that he's had the desire for him to go again, and he's in a very similar place to myself. And you know, for me, it was like, okay, so why don't we just do like again for November? Meditations every single day, because that's the thing that seems to get the community like really flying again. The live meditations every single day, and I kind of said it, and I thought there's quite a lot involved in that, you know, because then it'd be twice a day. I would do it at 5:30 in the morning, 9 o'clock at night. So the morning meditation and the 9 o'clock prayer. So it's a huge commitment for every day for November, and I'm doing all right just now. I'm kind of, I really want to do that. My meditation practice is wonderful just now. I'm tuning into the group, the sacred space, silently. So instead of having to hold the space, as I've done in here, I'd set the computer up and play the music and It's a live recording every morning. Did it for months and months last year. It was great. We captured it all. We've got it all. It's on the programme. Every type of meditation and breathwork you can imagine. Brilliant. I was at all different places and different stuff was coming through with different headings and agendas and intentions with it. It was magic. And I'm not at that bit with it just now. I'm in the space, but I'm quiet and I'm holding the space in a different way. And sometimes, as I did this morning at 3:30, I'll have music on myself, but it's not played within the group. So I'm tuning into my music, and I know that there's people within the group. At 4:30 this morning, I turned it on. There was 4 people already in the Sacred Space meditation. I mean, how good is that? It's just fucking wonderful. At that time, there's a bit you can go into. There's a space you can go into and just find relief, and tap in, because it's a vortex. There's no question. It's all open 24/7. It's a Zoom space, and whatever it is that we have created in there. You talk about that, of intentional living and creation. When that vortex has been created in there, it's just wonderful, and people are keeping it going every day now. And what happens is, when there's more and more of us get into it, in the past there's been 30 sometimes, sitting in those groups of meditation online, sometimes even more. I'm talking about programme members. When we've done the lives before, there's been over 100 sometimes on the Zoom stuff, which is incredible. But there's something about when everybody knows what's happening, and it's mostly silent, so we're all in our hearts, we're all connected, you can see who's there, and you're tuning into each other, and we're all bringing it through us, and it's, again, you create this vortex, which is incredible. So the desire for November, and the intention and the plan and what we're going to do for November is exactly that. We're going to go at 5:30 again every single morning for the programme members, and also 9 o'clock at night. And the way we're going to do it is myself and John. John is now, he's going to be holding the space with me. So between the two of us, we'll be holding the space. And again, his training and what he's done in lifetimes leading up to this, and the last probably 2-3 years with the Vortex and the work, and as always, like, the proof's in the pudding. You can see the work that people are putting in by who they become. You can't fake this stuff. It doesn't work that way. When people are, you can tell when somebody's in it and they're on it and they're living it. And when the expansion comes, as it has came with John, massive expansion over the last couple of years, and the bit that he's at, and my relationship with him, and the questions he's asking in terms of what I'm doing, my intention is to obviously pass it on to him. The questions that he's asking, nobody else is asking, and so he's at a different bit. And holding the space within those groups within the programme, that's the next step for him. So really grateful that he's going to be doing that with me. So all the pressure isn't on me. Again, it's just worked out easily. It's a timing thing. We're both going to do it in the morning time. So it'll be a silent meditation, choice of having your own music, or sitting in silence, or bringing something in off the app, off the bank, previous recordings, and just being together every single morning at 5:30. And Michael and Fern, who are down in Spain just now, Fern says yesterday, it just makes you accountable, and that, again, the bread, the dates, the meditation, the intent, like teaching the teachers. Before you know it, you start to get this it's starting to build, but the way that it's building is because of what's coming from you. So life is reacting to you, the universe and consciousness is reacting to you, it's reacting to my intention, and the baby steps in terms of, don't really feel like doing anything at the minute. I'm so far away from it in terms of where I know I can be. But you add in a wee bit at a time, you start to think about it at the beginning. What would it feel like to be there without doing anything? What would it feel like to be in that place where I'm actually feeling good again, and I'm flying again, and I'm excited for stuff, and which has been missing? So even though you're not there, can you create it in your imagination? Which is the first start of any of it for me. Every single thing that's being created, it starts with imagination, doesn't it? They create something, whether it's that flask or a chair or a fucking central heating. It's like everything's been created, and it starts with imagination. So for me, if I'm not where I like to be, like, what would it feel like to be there? And then you start to remember, fuck, why did I stop doing that every single night? Because I used to, and I have done it for many years, like lying in bed and feeling where I'm going, and where I'm already, the vibration of already been there, and without being too fucking rainbows and unicorns about it, but just remembering where I'm going, keeping it real, like, okay, this might be difficult just now, and you're maybe in the trenches a wee bit, and like that Oscar Wilde, one of the poems or the quotes, like, many of us are lying in the gutter, but some of us are looking at the stars. A lot of the time it's been like that for me. It's like, this isn't where I want to be, and this is where I want to take this, and it's a fucking grind now, but we're making progress, we're moving forward, we're going the right direction, which is the most important thing. And when you start to kind of build it a wee bit, before you know it now, we're getting into it. So by tomorrow, 30 days, half April. So Saturday, was that Friday? Saturday, Sunday, that'll be us. We'll be meditations twice a day in the group, and excited for that. To see what's going to come for it, to see what comes next, and it doesn't end. You know, what we're doing, what we're creating, the intention with it doesn't stop. And you know, for me, being half God at the minute, like being a human being, but at the same time, like committing as I do every single day, and being okay with that, the fact that I'm not completely giving my whole life away, because I can't just now. You know, I'm the human bit of me, and the stuff that needs resolved, and the stuff that I'm working on, I'm here to do that as well. You know, but there's definitely a place for, you know, being in this world but not of it, you know, being the spiritual being, and at the same time living the human life, and being able to go between both. I think that's the important part, you know, for people that don't have that, people that don't have a breathwork practice, people that don't have the ability to like shut the fuck up and get a break for themselves, people that don't have the ability to switch off their nervous system and stop thinking and experience peace of mind, you know, like basic stuff that everybody should know. That's certainly the desire to pay this forward and pass it on, and you know, get the world back to the way that it's meant to be. So it's half God for the minute. I'm doing my best. I'm doing all right. I'm doing pretty good. I'm on the bounce. There are many of us on the bounce. There's loads of good stuff going on within the Vortex. Loads of good stuff going on within the program. It's changing. It's evolving all the way, but it needs to, doesn't it? It never ends. I'm creating. I'm a creator. I like the you know, the artistic side of things, and I get bored with stuff. I get bored if I'm doing the same thing all the time. So you need to be expanding. We're here to expand. The universe has always been expanding. You know, consciousness is possibly, it might just be all that there is, you know, in terms of the divine, but I believe that's expanding as well. I believe we're here to expand. You know, we come into this world to get it and to grow and to, you know, fulfill our potential. So that takes, you know, this is deliberate expansion, deliberate intentional living, and expansion that comes with that. You know, so really good stuff. Really kind of in a good bit. Blessed after being away last weekend, in the TP, in the nature, in the reservoir, freezing cold, getting battered with the wind and the rain, you know, in the TP with the fire on, you know, just absolutely roasted. Again, like something you enjoy, something that allows you to have fun. No phones for the whole weekend. Just being in that space and getting quiet and taking time to go, right, okay, so what's next? And then John chipped me about it, like, full God for November, are we doing it? And as soon as he said that, obviously we're doing it. We're doing it together now, which is so much better than just doing it yourself. There's no pressure. It can be a wee bit of fun, and we can cover each other. And with other people as well, that'll be coming in and holding the 9 o'clocks at night time. There's enough people within the group that if I'm not there and John can't be there, then the group still benefits, you know, because the people that are coming in are at an evolved state now, where they understand how it goes together. You know, so it's so there are many of us in that sacred space. It's a powerful place, it really is, and you know, just really grateful for those that are taking part and those that are contributing. So there we go, number 68, half God, you know, doing all right, moving forward, rising, waiting for the next wave, all is together. We're in the sea, just waiting for it. We can feel the ripples, we can feel the swell starting to come, and looking forward to catching it. And then the expansion that's going to come off that as we lead up towards, you know, into winter time and into Christmas, and you know, dealing with the madness and the insanity that's in this world. You know, bringing light towards that, bringing the answers and bringing the solutions. That's what it's all about. You know, all glory to God. Learn how to breathe, learn how to meditate, learn what that is, experience what that is, and bring it into your life. Learn how to sleep better. You know, learn how to sleep properly, how to breathe during the night. You know, this is all stuff that we should all know. Why? Because it makes you feel better. You know, learn how to deal with your anxiety. Why? Because life's so much better when you're not anxious and you're not under stress. You know, so having the awareness to see what you're doing to yourself, and then how do you make it better? You know, how do you take a bit of responsibility and realise that, you know, they're probably not going to do it for you, and the stuff that they offer to do for you, it doesn't really work out most of the time. You know, so to see what you need, you know, to see what your guidance system is guiding you towards, and going on that journey, that's a great place to be. You know, the art of intentional living, and the science of deliberate creation is what this is. That came from Abraham, the science of deliberate creation, like creating your own reality, so you can fulfill your potential. That's what it's all about. So, love and light, peace out, God bless, take it easy. Number 68, half God. Thanks for tuning in. Catch you soon, and bye for now.